Hey friends, today we are going to talk about trauma. And yes, everybody in this planet has or has had trauma. And if you think you haven't had trauma, guess again. You're living in the devil's planet. So we all have trauma. I even like to say, when you were born, coming out of that warm bubble of a womb, hitting that cold air with those bright white lights, getting smacked around by someone in a white coat, bam, there's some trauma. We were taught not to talk about our feelings, not to talk about what's bothering us, not to talk about our trauma. Even the word trauma, people like to shy away from. They think there's something wrong with them. What happens when we carry things around? We hold it in, we shove it down, and we hold it in and shove it down. And it starts from a very young childhood all the way through adult. How much trauma are most people carrying around? And then they're flinging their trauma onto everybody else, and that creates more trauma for the next person and the next person. So this is all about healing ourselves, being on this healing journey, and dealing with trauma. All right, let's see what we got here. We got lots of cards going on here. A couple more. Oh, beautiful. Okay. Perfect. So yes, baby, you got trauma. And with the looks of it, it looks like you got quite a bit of trauma with all those birds. You've been reaching out for help. You've been asking the divine. You pray. You've been actually looking for people to help you with your trauma. And I feel like with this little crosshair, it's still going on. You still got trauma that you need to release and need to deal with, okay? And it's about finding the right person to help you with your trauma. I can see, even with these hands, you're like reaching out. You're like, please help me. I want to release this. It takes a strong person to actually want to work on themselves. This is Ace of Pentacles. This is new beginning. You want a beautiful, freeing life with all those flowers. That's what you want to be feeling inside. You don't want to be feeling all this darkness. So you're literally searching for the right person, which is good, because when we're on this search to try to heal ourselves, we don't know where to go. We don't know who to talk to. And it can be very scary even telling someone your feelings. But it is about search and reaching out for the perfect person that can actually help guide you through this. Like, say, if you're carrying around addictions, you'd want to talk to a professional that's had addictions, right? Someone who's had domestic violence. Wouldn't you want someone that like knew what you're going through? I mean, even childhood abuse. So there's so many different traumas out there. It's about really searching for the person who's experienced personally in that field. Because, I mean, there's millions of therapists, there's millions of healers, there's millions of life coaches out there. But my advice is to find someone who has really gone through what you are going through, because they know right away um, what you're feeling and how to get to the root of the problem. To find that like perfect person to get to the root of the problem is somebody who like won't have you talk about it for years and years and years and take your money, right? This is a person who can literally look at you, feel your energy, know what you're going through, and get to the source of it. And most of it is from childhood. But what we have to do first is be able to speak our truth, what is happening with us. And then this is where we can find someone. It takes a lot of strength, it takes a lot of courage, and it takes someone with a strong mental capacity to be willing to not only talk about it, but for someone to actually like tell you where you need to begin. Because the more that we talk about our trauma over and over and over again, we're just creating more trauma in our life. Because would you rather have somebody, some sneaky person, who just is taking your money and writing notes, and you're seeing them for decades because it feels good to talk about it, and you think you're releasing it, but you're not releasing it. You're just getting taken advantage of. You want to be able to release it and move on, because once you talk about your trauma, it's like an onion opens up Pandora's box, and more trauma starts spilling out. Trauma that you didn't even know that you were carrying around your whole life. Us humans are pretty dark, and we don't even know how dark we are, because not only are you carrying your own trauma, you're carrying trauma from your ancestor lines. This goes back generations after generation. So if you are constantly getting into relationships of domestic violence, there's a reason from it, because your ancestors were going through that. Or if you're codependent, or if you have addictions, or anxiety, depression, whatever it is, it's about getting to the source. And the thing is about once you find the source and you heal it, you heal this on your own and you get guidance of how to heal that trauma, you actually heal your ancestors and you stop the generational curses. But most people don't know this. They'd rather carry around their trauma, fling it on everybody else because they don't want to talk about it. It's too scary, and then they think there's something wrong with it. And then they live a life of constantly fighting with themselves. How many times do you argue in your head a day? More than you can count. That's complete trauma, right? So it's about getting to the root of your trauma, and it really takes a really strong person to first admit that they need help. They need guidance. But once you do that, this is what your world looks like. You're finally free. You can release it. But it's just more than one. There's many. So, like I say, we live in this very dark, dense planet. But once you get the courage and strength to say, hey, I need help, and I want to work on myself, and I want to live in a free world, this is the world that you will start seeing and emulating. And the cool thing about that, to live in a free, healing, loving, unconditional loving world, is that when you do that and you release that trauma, it's like a cycle. It's like the karmic wheel starts going in the right direction. We're always spinning our karma in the wrong direction, and we're adding more karma, we're adding more trauma, because we're throwing stuff on other people, and then we're giving them trauma, and then you add more karma in your life. So it's about spinning it the right way. Healing yourself heals the ancestors, and when you heal yourself, and not just your generations, you heal the next generations to come. That trauma will never come up again. It stops with you. You don't carry that onto your children and then carry it onto their children. This is like the ripple effect. And when you start healing yourself, you want to be in service to others. Everybody who has healed themselves or worked on themselves becomes a healer, and they become in service to others. And this is the type of world that we are moving into. Some people don't want to work on themselves. Some people never will. They don't want to face it. They're going to stay in this world, and it is going to distract. And this is why we're in a very dark, cold, controlled world. Nobody even asks questions. Things that don't make sense, people just go with it. I was told what to do, because no one wants to face anything. If you can't face yourself, you're definitely not going to face the outside world. You just do what you're told. So let's get out of this world and let's move into this. All right? I love you. If you need any help or guidance, check out my website, journeytoheavenonearth.com. I love you.